I've got plenty of time.
Excellent.
All good.
All right, we'll be here for 3 hours. No, I'm kidding.
All right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Quest Markers. On this show, we talk about the intersection of video games and our disciplines in the gaming industry. My name's Marina. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a video game composer, vocalist, audio engineer, and your host. And today, I'm so excited to have Fletch with us. Fletch is a game dev, Twitch streamer, community builder. You do a lot, and I'm excited to dig in.
Oh, thank you.
Your most recent game release is a Playdate game called Xtris. I think you're wearing an Xtris t-shirt.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, exciting. And I know that an early version of that is available on itch, but you also host an annual creativity jam called Fletch Fest, where folks are encouraged to create anything, a game, art, music, all in the name of celebrating creativity. And you also stream on twitch.tv, which is where we're at right now. For those who are watching the VOD, this episode will be timestamped as always with the topics that we cover, so feel free to jump around. And if you're here with us on Twitch, we do have emote-only chat for the duration of the recording, but we'll open that up for Q&A at the end. So I'm very keen for today's conversation. Fletch, thank you so much for being here. And let's get into it. Before I have you introduce yourself, though, I always ask, I don't know how this became a thing, but I always ask, how are you staying hydrated?
Well, you see, I've got this lovely Owala water bottle, not
Hell
sponsored.
yeah.
But what I really love about it's got a straw, and so I don't have to tip it towards me. And I've put all sorts of different artist stickers on it. So
I love that.
If you're an artist that I appreciate and you see yourself on this sticker, put it in the YouTube comments.
I love that. Oh, yeah. I love that. Yeah, having a straw is I mean, I have a coffee and I always have a little straw with my coffee. So it's a life hack. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm constantly like spilling stuff on myself, so the straw is just a safety feature.
I was just gonna say before we hit record, I was like, let's hit record, and then I looked down and I just had coffee on my desk. So that's where we're at. But Fletch, tell us a little bit more about yourself before we actually like get into it.
Sure. I am Fletch. I use he, him pronouns. I am, I don't know. I've got my hands in a lot of different things. That's the way I like it. I like to stay busy with a bunch of different projects, and I don't know. I just really like exploring our relationship as creative beings. I find that really important to me. And so I like to make stuff. I couldn't decide on like a single thing that I wanted to focus on when I thought about myself as a content creator about like 4 or so years ago when I was just starting out. I was trying to think of like, what's my niche? And I was like, I don't know that I could land on a niche because I want the freedom to just make whatever I want to make. And so I was like, we'll just keep it generic. I'll call myself Fletch Makes Stuff, and then that'll be that. And I mean, if I want to put cooking on my YouTube channel, it fits because it's stuff. Or I mean, whatever. It could be whatever. So anyways, yeah.
I love that. I relate to that because I mean, similar to you, like I work in the industry, but also and make games, but also stream and really enjoy it. And when I was starting my Twitch channel, I was like, well, I kind of want to stream everything. Like, is that okay? And I remember, I think maybe the first stream of yours that I was in was when you were making Canyon Crisis.
Oh, super cool. Yeah.
And I think you're the first person stream that I was in where I was like, oh, you can stream game development. You don't only have to stream games. And that was really cool. So yeah, I guess you didn't know that, but you inspired me to eventually like start streaming music and show, what's under the hood. And yeah, so thank you for what you do.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
And congratulations on the release. Like, that is so exciting. Can you tell everyone a little bit about Xtris, but also what is a Playdate for those who don't know the hardware?
Yeah, it's a good thing we're on camera today. A Playdate is this tiny little device. It is about the size of a craft single, if you're an American, and it's a little bit thicker than that. But it's got a D-pad, A and B button, and it's got this little crank here. And it's a handheld game device. When you purchase one, you get 24 games. They'll be released every week, 2 games a week, so 12 weeks of games. That comes with the price of the console, and then they also have an online catalog where indie developers like myself can go and make games with their open SDK and publish them to the catalog, and then share their games with the console and with the players, and it's really neat. So yeah.
That's so cool. How does it feel like having your game on a physical device? Because I remember how I felt when my first physical release came out and I saw it in a store. Like
Mhm.
not even look I think actually maybe it was the second time that I don't even know what store I was in, but I was like in the gaming section. I was like, "Oh shit, that's a physical release
Yeah.
of something I worked on." So how
Yeah.
does it feel?
It feels so good. Honestly, I've been doing creative stuff for a while. I've like jumped between different things throughout my life, and I mean, primarily I work as a software developer full time, and then the game development thing is on the side. So I'm constantly creating digital stuff that's not able to like manifest itself into my hands, and I think um, I started developing with Pico 8, and I got a 3D printer at my house at the same time.
Mm.
And so Pico 8 is a digital console, but it does have handheld devices that can play Pico 8 games. And so both when I put a Pico 8 game on a physical device and when I 3D printed my first object that I created, both of those moments, there was just like something that clicked in my head that like
Mm.
there's just something so much more exciting to me about like holding the thing that I made in my hands. It makes it feel a lot more real. And because I spend so much of my time in this digital space where like you can't touch a website, you can't I don't know, you can't like feel that. And so to be able to like interact with my game Xtris on a Playdate device is just really magical to me. It gives me a lot of motivation to keep making games. And it makes me really, really passionate about making sure it's a good experience in the physical world rather than just like
Mm.
keyboard and mouse. So I don't know.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It is really special. And firstly, welcome in everybody who just came in. Um, but yeah, I mean, similar with music, like you hear it, you don't really see it. If you're just listening to music,
Right.
you don't see it. I mean, like when I'm making music, I have plenty of visual devices that I can go off of to tell me is your mix balanced, et cetera, like all the engineering stuff. But yeah, so it's special when something that you can't touch is available physically. Like I keep some physical stuff on my desk to be like, hey,
Yeah.
like you worked on this. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's
it's
awesome.
special. I don't have a play date, but I did play the itch version
Okay.
of Xtras. But maybe we go like way back to the beginning actually
Sure.
before we go into like deeper into any particular game. How did you get into game development?
That is such a funny question because in university, I was presented with the opportunity to take game development style courses and to do game jams on my campus as part of my software development. What's it called? It's not a license degree. um, and I just never jumped at the chance. It never felt like something that interested me, which is really weird because
Mm,
I played a lot of video games. But something about it just like uh, I couldn't tell you what. For some odd reason, I said no thanks. I don't want to do game development. Um, and then I graduated, and life went on. COVID hit eventually, and I I remembered one of my professors talking about this cute little fantasy console called Pico 8. He was really passionate about it, and I was like, I'm really bored right now. We're
mhm,
staying indoors. I'm going to give it a shot. And I started making a silly project called Speed Cat. Um, and just as a way to like learn about game development, I wasn't intending for it to become like a full game. I just was like, this is a medium for which I can learn about like collision handling, or how do you handle pressing a button and making the character move, just like very basic game development topics. Um, and then around that time, because I was also bored and needing my hands in more pies, I was like, well, try content creation. And so I started streaming, and I was like, I need something to stream. So I was like, I'll just wrap up the last of Speedcat development
Mm.
while I start streaming, and that'll be like a good way to start conversations and hang out and chat with people. And then if no one's chatting, I have something to like do. Um, and I published Speedcat, and people really liked it. It's like, whoa, maybe game development is fun. I like it when people play my games and enjoy the things that I make. That feels like a really good feeling. So maybe I'll just chase
Mm.
that high over and over again. And here we are.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, you've worked on so many games at
Mhm.
this point. Excuse me. It sounds like you've been developing games at least for about 5 years
Yeah,
ish. Yeah.
just about.
Damn. How going back and sorry for maybe taking this down this Twitch rabbit hole, but when you started streaming, how
Mhm.
did you feel about streaming game development? And I ask because I remember when I started streaming music, it felt really vulnerable to show
Mm,
my workflow and to be like, oh,
yeah,
you know, do I like what this sounds like? Do I not? And also like making sure that people feel welcome and feel like they can ask questions, that I'm not just in my head. And I feel like it's
for
this
sure.
um it's such a unique place to be in because you're both working on something and you know putting building blocks together on something while also letting other people in. So I'm curious what that's like for you.
Yeah. I think for me, I framed it early on as opening up like an educational space to
Mm,
teach people about like software and programming and things like that. And like while I was learning myself, I could also teach some of those concepts to other people. Um, and I have just always had like a natural bent towards trying to distill information and share it in an like understandable and approachable way.
mhm,
And so I think when I started streaming, there was a lot of desire to frame it as like teaching and also like community building. I love community building related activities. I was like student leader in a bunch of different organizations in high school and college, and so this is just like an extension of that uh, desire to build spaces where people feel comfortable and safe, and like they can find an identity within. Um, and so I feel like I probably had an easier time getting into Twitch than some other people because I had some of those things that like I wanted to get out of it. Um, and then I also feel like I got really lucky. Um, when I started streaming, I had already formed some good, maybe parasocial relationships with other people within Twitch. I would visit a lot of the same streams that other people would visit, and so we would bump into each other multiple times a day. So when I started streaming, it was really natural for people to just come by and say hi. And so I know there's a lot of creators out there that don't experience the same quickness of success that I have, and I feel really lucky and grateful for that because it can be a grind sometimes, and it's really difficult to build that community quickly. And so I just feel
mm.
really thankful that for whatever reason my Twitch community kicked off enough that I've got some momentum. And I mean, we just celebrated our finishing our third year of streaming, going into our fourth with Fletch
Let's
Fest in
go.
March. And
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. And it's been such a joy seeing the way the community is formed. I I just feel so much pride, or uh, I don't know. It's a good space. I'm really thankful for the people that choose to spend time with me. So
Mm. That's I love that. That's very heartfelt and I mean, you know, as someone who has been in your streams, it's very clear to me that you're very deliberate about the space that you host. Like that is
yeah,
so clear. It feels safe and it feels fun and it really does feel like, you know, in the true sense of community building. I mean, I think Fletch Fest is a great example of you wanting to bring people together to celebrate human creativity and to make stuff and to showcase people's work. How did that come about? And also welcome to everyone who has hopped in.
I Fletch Fest. I needed a way to celebrate my first year of streaming on Twitch. I saw all these other creators being like, "Oh, it's my 1 year anniversary. We're gonna have a subathon, or we're gonna have a charity event or something." And I am allergic to event planning. I really struggle with scheduling. Marina had to fight me to show up today, and
Not true. Not true.
I just really like mentally struggle with event planning, and so I was brainstorming ideas with my wife over and over again, and finally I remember it just like clicked for me, like, oh, what if everyone participated in the event, so that takes some of the load off of me. And then I started thinking about like, oh, game jams is like a really great way for people to get involved and make something themselves. But I knew that a lot of people in my community were artists and not so technically inclined, and so I was thinking about like, okay, well, there's other community events that people run. There's like uh, prompt lists, there's like the pixel dailies, there's Inktober. I don't know, there's like art prompt lists, there's demo compo for musically and visually oriented folks. And so I was like, what if we just like slap a big creativity label on it, and everyone just shows up to this like potluck of creativity, brings their own little thing. It could be like a coloring page, or it could be a 20-hour video game. We don't care. We just celebrate them all equally because it's just fun to make stuff. And I think more adults could use a sense of whimsy, especially well, more adults could use a sense of whimsy and that joy that comes from creating stuff, because it can be a really big encouragement.
Yeah.
So I wanted a way to get people out there and making stuff.
I love that. And I totally agree. I don't know why my head went in this direction when you said more adults could use more joy and whimsy, which I agree with. But I remember before I started working in music professionally, and a couple of people in chat will know this story. I had gotten accepted into a music production class at Juilliard for an evening course, and yeah, that was like I don't think
it's a big school.
It is. Yeah, I keep my student card on my desk because I'm like on really bad days, I'm like, okay, I did like someone thought that I was decent enough to get into this,
Oh yeah.
But I remember like I would go after work and I would like bring a second bag with my MIDI keyboard and laptop that I used for music production. And I'd have coworkers coming up to me being like, "You're so lucky that you have a hobby. I wish I had a hobby." And I was like, I'm not gatekeeping hobbies.
Right.
So I love that you're bringing people together to either go into something new and create something that maybe they've been thinking about, or go back to maybe childhood artistic roots and creative roots. I think it's really important. And to your point, I think human creativity is really important. I think it keeps us connected in a world that arguably is both more and less connected every single day.
Absolutely.
So I think it keeps us connected to each other. It keeps us connected to ourselves. My experience when I listen to new music, or even when I listen to old music, is you can kind of feel the emotion from the artist, but it also just makes you feel so much less alone. And that's one thing that I'm constantly trying to bottle up. And so I think what you're doing is really, really special.
Thank you.
Tell us a bit about how like the first Fletch Fest went and the most recent one, which I wanted to participate in and just didn't have time this year, has been.
So valid. That's totally okay. The first Fletch Fest, say that 5 times fast. It it went so much better than I expected. A lot of people showed up and just like submitted, and I was like, what the hell? Where did you guys come from? And there were people joining that like I had never seen before. They just like saw my post on Twitter at the time. I'm not there anymore. But
Amen.
yeah. They would like saw my posts about it, and they just like submitted something. And some of those people even stuck around and are part of my community now. which is really neat. But yeah, I mean, I want to say we had like 15 to 20 different submissions, which is like wild to me. And then I mean, this most recent time, it just grows every year, just really exciting. The like thing that made me go like, what the, how did this happen? Um, the first Fletch Fest uh, in 2023, T Engineers or L Razor made a demo for a game called Mudborn. They had just published Apico, the beekeeping sim. It's very cozy. Highly recommend checking it out. And then they made a demo for Mudborn, which is taking the lessons learned from Apico and making a frog management sim. And
Yes.
it just came out on Steam like last month, the full game. And it was like, how did this start as a Fletch Fest game, just like a little game jam submission? How do I even know L? That's crazy. And then
That's so cool.
it's on Steam now. It's like a fully released title. And so that's like a really insane thing. I don't know. It's crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but we have a lot of fun going through every submission. We have this like big stream. We look at everything. We all clap and cheer. We've got a confetti bot now, which was new this year, and so
Yes.
people can like make confetti rain down on the screen, and we have a good time lifting each other up and celebrating one another. So if you're looking for that, that's March 2026. Start planning now.
Exactly. Exactly. I love it. I think let me Google Mudborn really. Oh my god, this just showed up on my TikTok the other day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Amazing.
I know this
Yeah.
game. Ah, that's so
I
cool.
didn't
And they
make it,
have
of course, but
overwhelmingly positive.
yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool. Oh, I love that. Okay, I'll have to check that out. It feels like a good Steam Deck game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Wind
I
down
love
at
that.
night.
Yeah,
Mhm.
100%. I love that. Um, Switching gears maybe a little bit.
Sure.
You're primarily a solo dev.
Mhm.
You have collaborated with folks, but tell us a little bit about what it's like being a solo dev. Also, oh my goodness, Lana, thank you so much for the raid. Hi,
Welcome in, Raiders.
everybody. Welcome in, Raiders. um, I have emote only chat here, so I apologize that folks can't come in if you have a rating message. But Lana, thank you so much. I hope your stream went well. We are recording a podcast. The VOD will be on YouTube. But Lana, thank you so much. Let me also, before I forget, let me give Lana a shout out. Uh, Shout out. I never accounted for raids
That's totally okay.
during a podcast recording.
I lurk in Lana's streams,
I do too.
game development stuff. Yeah, it's great.
I do
I recommend
too.
checking it out.
100%. Lana, thank you so much. Lana keeps me very motivated because
Oh
like
yeah.
Lana's working on this incredible game, and I'm like, okay, well, I gotta lock in. I gotta keep pushing myself. I gotta keep doing more.
Oh yeah.
So Lana, thank you so much for what you do, and thank you for sharing your journey. We were just talking about this with Fletch as well, where Fletch, when you started streaming, like you were openly sharing your game development journey. So
Mhm.
Lana, thank you again so much for the raid. Raiders, welcome in. Lana, if you need to go and do any post stream care, if you need to like lie down, grab a snack, grab some water or anything, please do. But thank you again so much. We were just talking about solo game dev and solo game development. You've primarily, Fletch, worked as
Mhm.
a solo dev. You have collaborated with others. Tell us a little bit about kind of the difference between working on something completely by yourself and then working with other people.
Yeah. Um, so I will say that Xtris is my first published game that's like commercial. I've published a lot of like game jams and little projects and things, but um, and so a lot of the things that I've worked on in the past have been game jams, and collaborating with other creatives on those has been awesome. We all sit down together, generally on Discord or something like that, and just talk about our hopes for the game. And it's really exciting to be in that collaborative process together with one another, and just experience some fun making stuff. that's what that's what we're all about.
Mhm.
But then when I'm working on a personal project like Xtris or Speedcat, I I desire a lot more creative control. I'm very picky, and in a game jam setting, I'm willing to just let things not be 100% my vision, because it's our game, it's not my game. But then when I'm making something that's my game, I, to a fault, am just very particular about how I want something to be and what I want it to be presented as and what I want the player's experience with it to be. And so generally, if I'm going to be that nitpicky, I want to pay the people that I'm working with. And so I call myself a solo dev. I commission the talent that I work with. That way, they're getting money to listen to me tell them to change small little things over and over again. And hopefully I'm not too hard to work with, but I I just really value their time, and but I also want, there's something about having that like financial aspect in play that sets the tone that like uh my vision goes, if that makes sense. Like I don't want to sound too harsh, but like I, if I want to drive the project in such a way but I don't have the talent to do it, um I want it to be clear that I want it to be the way I want it, I guess. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's an important conversation because if you're a game director on a project and you have a vision, it is your job to make sure that whoever you bring on, whether it's an artist or a musician or et cetera, that everyone's work aligns with what the vision for the project is. And I mean, I see this in my work because when I'm working on a game, like I come in and there's already a vision for the game. And so
Sure.
my job becomes, how do I use music and audio to create an emotional connection with the player, and to also give the player cues if we're thinking about music design, like what can
Yeah.
we do within the music to give a player a cue that maybe they're in danger or they're safe or they should feel a particular way. But I can't do that in a vacuum. Like I have to go to the game director or producer, whoever it might be, to understand what that vision is. So I think what you're saying is totally valid because and I feel very strongly about this. Like if I'm working on something, I want to make sure that it benefits the player. And the person who
Sure.
has thought about that
Yeah.
the most is going to be the game director, the person leading
Yeah.
the project. Um,
Totally.
because at the end of the day, like I can go and make, a beautiful piece of music, but if I'm writing, an epic Final Fantasy like battle theme for, a cozy farming sim, there's going to be dissonance. And so again, I just think
Yeah.
it's really important to kind of have a vision and to make sure that that vision is articulated and to iterate, obviously, like, if I write something for a project, I mean I work very iteratively. I wonder how other musicians like other opinions that people might have, but I'm very much like, let's throw an idea out there, let's see if it works, and if it does, cool, I'll keep working on it, and if it doesn't,
Yeah.
okay, cool, let's switch direction.
And I mean, in my experience, I have very little language for the areas that I don't feel familiar with. So, like music or art. I know what I want in my head or like the vibe that I'm going for, but I don't know how to like articulate that with like,
Mm,
here's the terminology that you understand as an experienced artist or as an experienced musician. Um, and so I feel like the iterative process is really helpful because I can say like, oh, um, for music at least, like uh, at the 23rd second, there's this weird sound. It's giving me like a little bit of
mm,
tinnitus. Like maybe we can like bring that down or find a different instrument or something. But I don't know like the words for that. And so having that like expectation that we're going to iterate on it is super helpful. So I can just like point
mm,
to it and say no thanks instead of trying to like uh, put all of the requirements out in front and then just get whatever you give me.
mm. Yeah, I think, I mean, to your point, like I think it's important to have those conversations. And I'm used
Yeah,
to working with folks who aren't musicians, and so we both come to the
bless you.
table. Well, we both come to the table with our areas of expertise, right? And then it's
Mhm.
like I empathize because I remember before I did any music engineering at all, like I didn't know what an EQ was and a compressor and a saturator and aux channels and sends and returns and like all this terminology where it's like learning a new language. And so as someone who's a games composer, like it's my job to come in and to also help translate a little bit where like I can take something away and we'll have a conversation about it, and I'll go do my little engineering, which I love. But
Oh
I'm,
yeah.
I'm not going to come to the table and be like, oh yeah, we need to EQ the 8K range. Like people would look at me like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
Exactly. So, also welcome in everybody who has just joined us. Yeah, but no, I think that's really important. And I love collaborating with people. Like I love just coming
Yeah.
together and being like, okay, what are we making? How do we make this as good as possible? And what is the player experience going to be? And how do we do everything in service to the player
Yeah,
experience? How do you
absolutely.
think about that when you're designing a game?
It's honestly just a lot of spending time in the shower.
Mm,
I think about like I don't know, I try and hit it from every angle. Obviously the like game mechanics are what I'm most familiar with. And so I'm thinking about like uh I mean at its core a game is the player presses a button or does some sort of thing, and then there needs to be feedback on the screen. It's really just like this feedback response loop that you're interacting with. Um, and then whatever you add on top of that makes it fun or not fun. And so I'm constantly trying to think about like uh, how can we communicate the experience that we want using that very simple tool of they make an action and we show them a response. But then, I mean, more than that, it's like, how do they make that action?
mhm,
And so I start thinking about like accessibility, which is really important to me. I exist in a lot of chronically ill and disabled spaces. Um, I mean, I have some chronic conditions, and a lot of people close to me um, have some of those same things. And so I really want my games to be playable by as many people as possible. Um, and so that's a facet of how I consider games. And then, I mean, the audio and stuff is less my strong suit, but I still have like a vision for that. And again, I don't know how to articulate that. So really, it's this collaborative process and inviting other creative people into the space and being like, um, there's some sort of like control that I want to give away and say like, what do you think would be best, or like
mm,
lean on their expertise a bit. Um, but ultimately, I like to have the final say.
mm.
um, maybe I'm a control freak. Who knows?
You are responsible for the vision, so like ultimately,
That's valid.
again, going back to what I said earlier, like ultimately I know that I'm not going to be the one kind of making the final call on things. Like I'll be making the final call on like, do I like whether this is, do I like that this instrument is this loud in this song? Like I'll
Yeah,
probably
that's
be
fair.
making maybe the final call on something like that, but even then I rely on a second pair of ears or a third pair of ears. I do I think that it is important for someone to own the vision of a project ultimately. Otherwise, I
Okay.
feel like we can get what's the word I'm looking for? Like fractures, I guess. Everything
Sure.
has to work together.
Yeah.
Um, I appreciate your focus on accessibility as well. I recently played Pacific Drive, which had
Ooh,
so many accessibility knobs. Like I
awesome.
opened up the accessible I it's one of the first things I do when I open up a game. I open up the accessibility page and I see what
Hmm.
I can tinker with to make things easier for me. I get chronic pain. And
Yeah.
so, like is there anything that I can do to make this just easier for me to play? Um, so yeah, big fan of a focus on accessibility. I recently learned that there is, and I can't believe I didn't know this up until fairly recently, but I recently learned that there's a font for dyslexia, which is
Hmm.
really cool.
Yeah.
That I saw in a game recently, Bow Path of the Teal Lotus, where you can toggle it on to make the font easier to read, which I thought was so cool. So I always appreciate when teams go the extra step because, like, technically you don't have to, but it is
Right.
so meaningful to be able to do that and to make a game more accessible to folks. So
Yeah.
yeah, big fan,
Absolutely.
big fan. Let me do a quick time check. Um, we could open up chat. It's up to you, Fletch. Or would you like to? Is there anything burning that you wanted to talk about before we open up chat? I do have one last question for you
Okay.
before we open up chat, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I forgot at the top of the podcast to describe what Xtris is. Is it okay if I talk
Please,
about it real
please,
quick?
yeah.
Okay. So Xtris is a game for Playdate. If you don't own one of these devices, don't purchase the game because you're not going to be able to play it, or treat it as a tip jar or something. I don't know. But if you do own a Playdate, it's a fast-paced arcade dexterity game. You're given 60 seconds to traverse around a very simple grid, and you just try and collect as many X's as you can in that 60 seconds. It's really simple in its concept. One thing that, like in reflection on the game's design, that I wish I had executed better is that there's not very much room in terms of skill expression. Once a player meets a certain threshold, there's no ability to like improve the meta or make changes because it's such a simple game loop. So in the future, I hope to have an Xtris update that adds and game mechanics that express the player's skill, so that way there can be iteration and growth rather than a stagnant leaderboard. I would really love to have a leaderboard that's more dynamic. But if you're not into competing, that's totally okay. There's lots of achievements to unlock. I've got an update coming out in just a couple days that adds 15 more achievements. There's secrets to hunt for if you like puzzles and secret hunting. There's a lot packed into a really simple little title. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy it. You can get the game for free on itch and sideload it to your Playdate if you want to try it out. It doesn't come with the leaderboards or the achievements. For those, you need to pay on the catalog. But yeah, thanks. All right, that's my little spiel about Xtris. Thanks for letting me do that.
Yeah, of course. It's very meditative. I haven't told you this. I have told you that it's meditative, but I haven't told you that when I need a break for my ears and when I just need a reset, there's like a couple things that I do. I'm like, oh, I could like walk around the apartment, go make a coffee, whatever, like the usual things. Or sometimes I'll just open up a small game and just do one game loop. And so Xtris is one of those. Like Hades is also a good example of something that I'm playing right now where I'm like, okay, I just need to do like a couple of rooms in Hades or like a couple of sessions in Xtris. Like, how do I just reset my ears and then get back to things?
Totally valid. I get such bad audio fatigue. I don't know how you can,
it's real.
Do it.
It's real. Yep. It's I could talk about this forever, so I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Follow Marina's channel, YouTube and Twitch, and then you can ask Marina questions about audio whenever you want.
Well, we'll have Fletch your socials in the description as well. So if you're watching the VOD, follow Fletch. Ooh, nice alliteration. Okay, I lied. I have 2 more questions for you, if that's okay, before we open up chat and anything else you want to talk about. Maybe I start with the smaller stakes one, and then one that's not really higher stakes, but tell us about a game that you recently played that you really enjoyed. What kind of games does Fletch play?
Yeah, great question. Let me open up Steam, actually.
Well, people could go to twitch.tv/Fletch Makes in order to see what you streamed recently.
That's true. That's true. All right, so I'm playing a couple of different games currently. I'm playing through Baldur's Gate 3, which has been a blast. I've been on the outside of D&D for a long time, but like I'm like staring in the window and pressed up against the glass, like, please, I want to know more about D&D. I listen to D&D live play podcasts, and I like have a set of dice, and I don't know. I'm like everything but actually playing a tabletop game of D&D. And so I'm having a lot of fun with Baldur's Gate. It's scratching some of that itch.
I love that.
And I'm also playing Zenless Zone Zero. That's like my comfort game. I just pick it up when I don't really feel like doing anything else, and it's nice to just bash enemies a bit. But the game I wanted to talk about, I just finished it, called The Invincible. It's based on a novel, a sci-fi novel, by a name that's hard to pronounce. Their last name is Lem, but it was like written in the 1970s or something. And I actually watched Lemon Poppy Seed Games play the demo on Twitch, and I got interested in the game. So
hell yeah.
It's a very narrative game that where your choices contribute to a different ending. So there's different endings you can get. And it's set in this sci-fi world. You're on a alien planet, and you're uncovering some mysteries and things like that. And for me, ever since I graduated from university, I have had a lot of difficulty reading books. Something about reading textbooks just like took the desire of reading away
Mm,
from me. I read prolifically, like so much. I would finish like 300 pages in a day in high school. I was consuming books so quickly. And then all of that just like came to a grinding halt. And so to experience a narrative as salient as The Invincibles in a video game format where I'm a little bit more engaged and it's voice acted and I'm pressing buttons and
mm,
walking through the terrain and environment. It really made fiction accessible to me again, which felt just amazing. I highly recommend if you're a fan of sci-fi, checking it out. There's also some really cool. If you like to play games, just to learn about game development, and you like to like pick things apart and make notes and things. I'm always doing that when playing games. I'm like, ooh, how does this work? Um, that's a great example of a quality game to pick up
mm.
called The Invincible. Um, yeah, highly
I
recommend it.
love that. I feel like you don't see a lot of book adaptations to video games. That's really
Right.
cool. Yeah, you see
Hmm.
video games being made into films now, I guess, but not books being made into video games. That's really cool.
It's a really unique experience. And I've played other like narrative focused games before, and I've loved a lot of them. But for some reason, this just felt the most book-like to me in the
Mm,
most positive way. Um, and it for someone like me that really struggles with reading, it was such a huge blessing. I loved it.
mm, mm. I love that. I always, to my friends who don't play video games, I always describe video games as like the thing that forces me to put my phone away.
Sure.
Because like many other people, I'm always grabbing it. Did the email come in? I never turn my brain off.
Yeah.
Um, and if I'm playing a game, phone has to go away. Like I'm playing Dark Souls 2 right now,
Oh
and
yeah.
you can't pause. So it's like, and it's one of those games. It's a slower burn. It's very um it's just a slow paced game, or at least maybe the way that I play Souls games is very slow and intentional.
Sure. Yeah.
Because if you play quickly, you quickly learn how difficult the game is.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, it's one of those where like phone has to be in the other room. Like I can't get distracted. Otherwise, I'm going to
Mm,
lose however many levels, because I didn't
right.
go to a particular location on time. Um, before some wizard blasted me with a spell. So,
Right.
so yeah,
Those spam
there's
wizards.
yeah, genuinely always the wizards. Uh, but yeah, no, I agree. Games to me are I mean my favorite medium, but yeah, it's because so many artists come together to make something
Yeah,
that's interactive, right? Like, and
definitely.
and that's not to say I don't enjoy reading and I don't enjoy other media, but yeah, I don't know. There's something really special about games to me.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
in the interest of time, I have one last question and then
Let's
we'll
do it.
open up chat.
Love it.
Um, what advice would you give younger Fletch, knowing everything that you know now about game development, about content creation, about hosting a creativity jam? What advice would you give younger Fletch who was just on the precipice of starting this journey?
That's a great question. And it was in our document and I had time to prepare for it and I didn't. So we're gonna come up with an answer. Um
A
I
knee-jerk reaction answer is also a great indicator of what's important. So,
perfect. Hell yeah. Um I uh uh I think younger Fletch was very caught up in making the idea perfect
mm,
before you actually get to making it, if that makes sense. Like
mhm,
the conceptualization was very important to me, and it still is to a degree. So I'm still fighting this. It's kind of advice for present day Fletch as well. But I I feel like I had a big breakthrough last year when I was making a game for a game jam, and I felt that like itch to like not start working on it until I had like the perfect vision. And I I was like, screw that. We're gonna try something new. We've been fighting this battle for a long time. And I just started making the thing. And it wasn't perfect. But it came together uh good enough. And the vision changed as I made it, and that's okay. I'm happy with how I ended up. And I think I just get like stuck in my head too much. Sometimes you just gotta start making the dang things. Otherwise it's never gonna happen. So yeah, I think that's the advice I would give myself.
I had on a similar note, I had to print out the quote "done is better than perfect" and like put it on my wall for a little bit.
So true.
Similar to you, I feel like I have a tendency of over planning, and it robs me sometimes of the joy of experimenting. And sure. I think that's really helped me lean into like the way that I write music. For anyone here who has been in my music streams, I feel like the first words that come out of my mouth when I'm doing something new in a song is "what if," and just throw ideas at the wall. Some will stick, some won't. If you throw spaghetti at the wall, you'll at least get a little bit of tomato sauce on there, you know?
Yeah.
And the rest will fall. So yeah, I think that's good. I would tell my younger self that too. Just start. And you know, if one can find ways to do things just 1% better or even 0.5% better, that's still progress. So
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of in the same vein. Awesome. Shall we open up chat? Is there anything else, Fletch, that you wanted to mention before we open up chat?
Don't write collision code yourself. Let someone else do it. It's not worth it. I learned that battle. I wrote my own collision code for Speedcat. It sucks. Don't do it.
Oh,
Get a library. That's all I gotta say.
Good advice. Thank you, everyone, so much. If you're watching the VOD will cut in about a minute. But for everyone who's here with us on Twitch, we're gonna open up chat. Fletch, thank you so much for being here. We will have our socials in the description if you'd like to follow us. I highly recommend hanging out in Fletch's streams. And go check out Xtris, whether you have a Playdate or you're thinking about getting a Playdate, or if you want to check it out on itch first. But Fletch, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a pleasure.
Oh my God, no, thank you. Let's open up chat. Also, if any raiders are still here, I'm sorry, I'm taking you out of emote only chat. Everybody, hello. Hopefully that worked.
Hi, friends.
Hello.
Hello. It's been so nice throughout the podcast to see so many people that I recognize. Y'all are giving me so much strength and confidence. I get a lot of stage fright, so seeing so many lovely folks hop in and say hi has been very encouraging.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. It did. Hello, freedom. Hi, friends. Hi, everybody. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I was so excited about today, and candidly, I was also nervous. I'm always nervous. I'm always like, did I prepare the guest enough? Do they feel like this is going to be a safe and comfortable thing for them? And I overthink things a lot. Clearly.
Okay, actually, in addition to YouTube, I know we're posting there, but where can folks find Quest Markers? I know early on I was listening on Spotify. I don't know if that's still true, but I've been following Quest Markers for a bit on and off, and I have always loved the vibe that you put off. So I feel very honored to be here.
Thank you.
But also thank you, Rhett. Yeah. Go check out the other Quest Marker podcast episodes. Highly recommend.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's everywhere that you get your podcasts, and it's also on YouTube.
Sweet.
Yeah. So both, either. Some folks prefer just audio only. It used to be audio only up until this year. Some folks enjoy watching the VOD. So yeah, kind of everywhere. I'm terrible at the marketing thing. I feel like I don't want to talk about I don't want to do the marketing. I just want to do the thing, you know?
That's so valid.
I need a marketing manager.